Today, we'll be talking about various microphone setups for YouTube as well as your personal projects that you can use, along with some of the pros and cons with each method. I'll also talk about my personal setup and how that might not be conventional in terms of the average YouTuber. Welcome back to Lights and Buttons. When it comes to audio, many people will tell you that it is just as important, if not more important, than the visual aspect of a video, and rightfully so. And that's because if you're watching a movie, you really want to be immersed in the experience almost as though you're physically there. Now, if we scale this back to just a normal YouTube video as you're watching here, the main audio that you'll be hearing is just the sound of my voice. You're not going to hear any big explosions or any rumblings or anything like that, but audio is still important. Now, you're probably familiar with the onboard mic of a camera because that comes with every single camera. There's nothing extra you need to connect or power, and it's easy to use. It doesn't always work well because, for example, as you're stepping away from the camera, the audio quality will start to drop. You might start picking up some unwanted sounds, etc. So that's something to consider. And now, just for a comparison, I switched over to the internal mic of the A7 III. I'm about 10 to 15 feet away from the camera, so I'm not exactly up close to it, but when my voice travels across the room, the mic will pick up all the echoing and all the other unwanted sounds, and it's just not a good quality. On YouTube, a very popular type of mic is a shotgun mic, and this is an example of one. This is the Rode video mic. It's a little bit older. This is a mic that sits on top of a camera and fits in the hot shoe and will record audio externally and then feed it through a 3.5mm jack that goes into your camera. A lot of the mid to high range cameras will have an audio input jack, so this will fit right in, allowing you to get cleaner audio compared to the built-in mic that's on your camera. Now, this particular model does use batteries, so this has a 9-volt battery that's inside over here. Some of the mics do not require a battery, so you just plug it into your audio input and then it gets powered by the camera. But for this one, it does need a power source. But in terms of pros and cons, this one, in addition to needing a battery, because it uses a 3.5mm jack, I find that sometimes when you're using this jack and you actually touch it and it becomes dirty, the audio signal becomes very poor because there's a lot of noise associated with a dirty 3.5mm jack that gets plugged into your camera. So just something to watch out for. I currently have the Rode video mic attached to the camera. Currently I'm standing about 5 feet away from the lens, so if I turn around and demo something, if I'm working on the project, you'll hear the echoing around the room come into play because I'm not facing the camera and the shotgun mic is not in front of me anymore. So if I turn around again, you'll hear the audio quality pick back up, but that's because I'm facing the camera and the mic. And now, with the camera back 10 to 15 feet, even though I have a high quality shotgun mic, this is what it sounds like from that distance. Next up, we have the USB microphones. So this particular one is pretty popular, and one of my friends recommended it to me. It's the Blue Yeti mic. It purely runs over USB, so in terms of power and data, it uses the USB cord that's connected to it, so you don't have to worry about any batteries running out of power. You don't have to worry about connecting a 3.5mm jack where if it gets dirty, you might have poor audio quality. This thing is digital from the mic out to your PC. So those are the pros of this microphone. There's also other features. So for example, in the back over here, there's some knobs, and it allows you to control if you want like an omnidirectional mic experience or if you want to purely record from one direction. That is up to you, and you can configure it from this microphone. Now, some of the cons in terms of the Blue Yeti mic and maybe some of the other USB mics, it's bigger in size. So as you can see, this is pretty sizable, so most likely it'll be in your shots unless you're, let's say, hanging off of a boom that's off frame in your shots. So you also need a PC to record the audio, and after you record the audio, you have to sync up with the video, so you're gonna have a little bit extra work. For this type of microphone, it's probably better for either voiceovers, which I use this for, or maybe like a podcast sort of thing. But I do use a couple of different mics, and this being one of them, as I said, for the voiceovers. This is a test on the Blue Yeti USB microphone. And a final type of microphone that I'll be talking about today is the wireless lav mic or the wireless lapel mic. This is a small mic that can attach to your collar, or if let's say you're wearing a button-down shirt, it can go between the buttons or on a jacket. And you can even set this up so that it's concealed, right? You can hide it behind your clothing, like underneath your shirt, or even behind a plant, right? So this thing comes with a transmitter. This transmitter is connected to the receiver that's currently attached to the camera, and some of the professional ones can get pricey. For example, the nicer Sony or the Sennheiser ones will be using a lot of metal material, so if you drop it by accident, it's not going to crack. At most, maybe it will start denting, but the build quality is better, and also there's less chances of the mics disconnecting, because with some of the cheaper wireless mic options, I've heard that sometimes it randomly disconnects as you're talking, which totally ruins the audio. The nicer mics tend to have user replaceable batteries. If you're in the middle of a shoot and the batteries die, you can just simply swap them out. And if your battery is really dead, you don't have to replace the whole transmitter or receiver just because of a single defective battery. This is definitely a very cool setup. It's been pretty reliable. There are a couple of times where it wouldn't power on, and I think because the contacts were dirty in the battery compartment, so that was more of a minor thing. But I've used this a lot and I really like it. It's pretty easy to use, and in fact, for this Sony one, the reason why I picked this particular setup is because the receiver can connect to the hot shoe, actually through a hot shoe adapter that Sony sells separately, which allows you to both power the receiver and also receive the mic information digitally without using the 3.5mm audio jack. So in normal transmitters and receivers, the receiver will connect to the 3.5mm jack input to the camera, but in this case it just sits on a hot shoe and there's no other wires sticking out from it. It all communicates through that IMHO interface. But what if you're vlogging and the camera is literally inches away from where you are? Currently, you're listening to the Sony a7 III's internal microphone. And now, we have the Rode shotgun mic on top of the Sony a7 III. And then last but not least, we have the Sony Lav Mic, and here we currently don't have any equalizer settings applied to it. After applying the equalizer setting, I'm currently boosting the 100 and the 3000 kilohertz range just so that it gives the audio a bit more punch. So this is my favorite mic. It's awesome. What are the cons of this? Well, for this, if you get a Sony mic that's professional grade, or if you go with a professional Sennheiser wireless lav mic, they're going to run you $600 and possibly higher depending on which model you get. And that's pretty steep for, you know, someone like me doing just YouTube videos on the side. But I found a good deal, not the best. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, where I got this used and I paid maybe about $400 for it. I've seen B&H do a 24-hour flash sale on the wireless Sony lav mics, and it's very rare, maybe like once a year or something, but they dropped the price half and it's still new. So you can get for $300 something a new wireless lav mic from Sony and about the same build quality, professional grade, for 40-50% off, and that's awesome. I haven't gotten to catch that sale when I bought this, so I just decided to grab a used one. But after I grabbed the used one, of course, the thing popped up and I was like, should have just waited just a little longer. But anyway, this is what I have and I really like it. Now, there's a couple other things with this. Typically, when you have a wireless lav setup, the receiver that's on the camera can only accept one transmitter. So in other words, you can only accept one mic for one receiver. And if you want more than one, for example, if you have two people talking and you want to clip one of these lav mics to one person and then clip the second mic to the other person and then have them talk at the same time and receive at the camera at the same time, a lot of them can't do that. There are specialized ones that have receivers that will allow for two mics to be input wirelessly into the receiver, but that costs a lot more. And so that's one of the cons. Now, I have seen cheaper ones that will accept dual mics and also wireless, but in terms of the reliability, I wasn't sure if it was always 100% reliable, so I decided to just jump to this setup with one mic. And for me, I'm the only one that's presenting here in this channel, so having multiple people isn't really an issue when it comes to this lav mic. But if I have to use this with multiple people, maybe I'll just hide it behind another vase and call it a day. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as always. And I'll see you in the next video.